Hello and welcome. So in this episode, we're talking about the CPU mining change, or the algorithm change, the consensus upgrade, which happened this week, and it was quite a big event. I mean, in terms of Decred, normally we're quite uneventful, but this week has been kind of like emotions flying high, and it's been absolutely it's been great actually, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. I've got more grey hair. I've losing a lot more hair. It's been a toll. It's been brilliant. How about you guys? How you doing, Tivra? How you doing, Exitus?
Oh, doing great, thank you. I was just discussing with Exitus about this, that, at least it got the channels more active, this change, like many more people were discussing what's going on, and it alerts people and it makes more people aware of what's going on even. That's one positive thing about the quote-unquote drama.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't catch too much on Twitter or any of those other channels. Like, I was expecting loads and loads of trolls to be at it, but I didn't actually see too much. But like you said, the mining channel was absolutely alive. So, hopefully you guys in the chat can hear us okay. If you can and you want to post a question, please feel free to. We're just going to walk through some of the events that actually happened over the last week, and kind of just touch on some of the emotional aspects. We might not have all of the technical answers, but if there are technical questions, we'll try our best to answer them as well. So what happened this week then? We upgraded the consensus. So the whole idea was to change from Blake 256 to Blake 3, and to reduce the mining reward per block from 10% down to 1%, basically making us ASIC resistant. So the whole idea was that we're now going to be a CPU mining or GPU mining platform, which also brings down our environmental overheads, which is absolutely amazing. It was never going to be a straightforward thing. When you think about it, Decred had 55 petahashes of hash rate, and then as soon as the change happened, we went down to a fraction of a petahash. The actual number, if I look through my notes, we're currently down to 15 gigahashes. So the actual equation here, so 40 petahashes, which is what the last block was, which is 40 million gigahashes, and we're now down to 15 gigahashes. And that tells you the massive gap that we've got. So we've gone from the top of the chain, the most amount that most chains have got, down to this actual fraction of amount of hash rate, which is absolutely amazing. One of the things that actually happened, though, is getting that first block after the consensus change happened actually took almost 3 days. Not quite 3 days. It was something like 2 days and 19 hours. It took to move over. And there's a whole bunch of emotions flying around at that point, going, oh my God, is this going to happen? Before I keep going on, how are you guys feeling? I know Tivra probably wasn't following as close as Exodus, but how are you guys feeling the morning before the change? Did you think, hey, this is just going to be another Decred changeover, it's all going to be swimming, or were you a bit apprehensive?
Well, I saw on Matrix, Dave had a post on Matrix that basically said, hey, this might take 1 to 2 days before the mining difficulty changes, and we might have blocks. So there was a warning beforehand. So when the change did happen and the block stopped, it was kind of like, okay, we knew this was coming. But once it got past like the 2-day mark, I admit I got a little nervous, and I was like, I hope. But I have a lot of faith in the Decred developers, especially Dave, and I'm sure they did everything on testnet. But it was a little nerve-wracking at one point. We're like, is the chain gonna continue? And it's really interesting that because normally Decred consensus changes are so smooth, you don't actually know if anything happened. Of course, if you're checking everything, the changes do go through. But with this one, because of this hang up, it was almost kind of like people saw like, wow, something really changed, something happened. And it kind of brought people into, I guess, our comms and Twitter, which was really interesting. But yeah, I was definitely a little nervous, but obviously the blocks came back, like they said, and here we are. People are mining Decred with their CPUs, which I think is great. And I think it's broad. There's like Tivra was just saying, there's been more discussion in our comms. I think GPU and CPU mining are just so much more community minded than ASIC mining. I don't know if you guys feel that way, but it feels like people are so much more interested in that element.
Yeah, that's definitely true. By the way, it reminded me of, I think it happened in 2017, where we stopped producing blocks for maybe a few hours. I'm not sure, because I remember I was at Poloniex there. I was working at Poloniex, and there was some panic about that. But it was just maybe a few hours, nothing compared to this. I just wanted to comment. You said ASIC resistance. Just to add a footnote, I think maybe we should say like ASIC canceling or something like that, because it just cancels our current ASICs, right? But there is nothing, at least to my understanding, there's nothing ASIC resistant in the current implementation of Blake 3. I mean, the only thing that is ASIC resistance, we could say, is that it's so unprofitable to mine that nobody will create an ASIC for this. So I think that's the only ASIC resistance. Otherwise, I think it's probably no problem for Bitmain to create a ASIC for Blake 3, right? But they won't do it probably because it's not profitable enough. Yeah, it was really, I wasn't following as closely as some others because I had a thing going on in my life. But yeah, definitely it was interesting to. I was talking to Jay-Z and we were like guessing how long it will take, and his guess was exactly right. I remember he said, I think in a few hours we will get it, and we got it in a few hours.
Yeah. My initial guess was pathetic. It really was. I think it was Alan Barber in the mining chat said, "Hey, let's put some places bet on." So I said, "Yeah, an hour and a half. We have this mined in an hour and a half." And then 2 hours came, 3 hours came. I was like, "Oh, I couldn't have been more wrong." But there was some interesting discussion, and it turned out that I think, I mean, before we go any further, actually, we should say a huge thank you to all the people involved. So I've just written a list here. So special thank you obviously goes out to Dave Collins for all the hard work and effort to actually make this happen. And in actual fact, although that initial block took a little bit of time, it's actually been flawless. It's worked amazing. The other people is Crumbles, who put together the CPU mining tutorial, which got most of us mining. You know, there was a good 10 people that had come from that tutorial into the channel and was actually mining. So a massive thank you for Crumbles for taking the time putting that together. And then other people, community members that helped support everyone over some of the hurdles, because there were a couple of issues as well. So Cazelle, Jay Holstock, Jay-Z, Warrior, Zip Corners, Alan Barber, all of these people were literally there for 2 days solid, just kind of mining away and kind of giving people support. So it was a real community event. In that channel on those 2 days leading up to that block being mined, I've never seen that channel so active. There was a good 30 people, if not a few more, actually participating and trying to help out and stuff. In terms of your point about being ASIC resistant, I couldn't agree more. I think it isn't ASIC resistance as such, but the whole idea was to make it so unprofitable that wouldn't happen. And the interesting thing is, and this is, I think, where part of the difficulty problem came, is when they were building this consensus change, they had almost, to my knowledge, to my understanding, they had almost expected GPU miners to turn up on the first day. So the initial difficulty set was actually deliberately slightly high to account for that. And then no GPUs turn up. It was all CPU. You know, for 2 days, that's all CPU trying to find it. As we got into the 2 days, there was some cloud services that were deployed as well to actually get us over that hurdle. Dave Collins, and I think 1 or 2 other members actually bought in some, out off their own back, I may add, bought in some cloud services to actually get us over that hurdle as well. So absolutely brilliant. But the minute the block got mined, they all turned them off. So they spent that money, got that block mined, they turned them off. And because the difficulty changes every block now, it almost instantly adjusted and it came right down. It took us up until this morning. This morning was the first time, I believe, about 8 o'clock UK time, that we actually mined 12 blocks in an hour. Before that, it was 8 or 10 blocks an hour. So the difficulty is slowly getting to where it should be. I would imagine we've still got a good week, maybe 2 weeks, maybe longer, where it actually gets that consistency. But it's nice to see that we have actually got to a point where we are mining now, those 12 blocks per hour. And that the difficulty does change every single block now, which is really, really interesting. Other points that I'd like to make on that, and in the Twitter streams, there were people say, "Oh, Decred's a dead coin, or how's Decred going to overcome this? They're going to have to kind of fiddle the chain or whatever. And it is important to note that there were no code patches. So the actual consensus went through as is. There was no code patches. There was no adjustment to code. It was just pure CPU power getting, finding the difficulty, finding the hash needed to actually build the block. And I think that's actually a really important point. Have you guys got anything to add on top of that?
I was going to ask, why do you think why the GPU miners chose not to show up? Is it because it's just so unprofitable to mine with GPU?
Yeah, I've got a little calculation here, and it's not going to be 100% accurate, but the estimated cost to mine a block after the first one, of course, the first one cost like $200 to mine that first block, or something like that, Dave was saying. But the estimated cost per block now is between 50 cents and $1 for 0.08 DCR, which is at the current value is 80 cents. So for GPU miners to start being profitable, the price will need to actually go up quite considerably. So based on those calculations, CPU profitability starts at Decred becoming about worth $20 or $30. But remember, the more GPUs are added, that price actually has to keep increasing. So if you get 1 or 2 GPUs, in order for those GPUs to be profitable now, the price will have to almost double to that $20 mark. You add 3 or 4, it's going to literally have to do the same again, just purely because the difficulty will change once they show up. So at the moment, the cheapest way to mine and the most profitable way to mine is CPU. So you turn your laptop on, you designate one core to it, and you just let it whir. So whenever you're just working, you just let it whir in the background, one core, and estimated, it will cost roughly between 50 cents and $1, and you'll get a return of 80 cents at the current value. Which, all of these logics that go into this, it's actually fascinating. The fact that they've brought that profitability down so much that you get these desirable factors is absolutely great.
I just wanted to add, I'm thankful for everyone who contributed their CPU power, even if it, wasn't profitable. Just the contribution to the network. It's really good to see this.
The CPU power on the first block wasn't profitable, but it's profitable now. I mean,
Right.
I suppose it really depends on what the electric price of your CPU is that your systems are running. But at the current hash rate, or the current, which was, what did I say it was? Oh, I've got it written here. Yeah. So Dave Collins said that the hash rate is looking, or the difficulty looks like it's going down to approximately 7 giga hashes. So we'd have to do some more detailed calculations on that, but it should be very, very profitable for CPU miners still, going forward, even if you're just turning it on during the day, during your work day, and just running in the background.
I was going to say, we have a question. This is an easy question. Biker, it's a Russian name, but it's Biker. He asks, I have an Antminer DR5. It will never work again. And unfortunately, yes, that is right. It won't work. By changing the hashing algorithm, we bricked all of these ASIC miners, unfortunately. I would refer you to read through the recent proposals, or even the voting on voting.decred.org to maybe look into why this happened. We had a whole nother episode last month on why this happened. I advise you to look up that one on this channel with Dave Collins. He'll go into why we decided to basically brick ASICs and switch to CPU mining. Basically, the ASIC mining just wasn't working for us. I don't think we have time to go into all that again in this episode for you, but too long didn't listen. Yes, your ASIC is bricked.
Yeah, certainly for Decred. I'm not sure if there are any other blockchains running Blake 256. There is one. I'm not going to mention it because it's basically a dead project, and it was a scam from the start.
Yeah,
but,
don't mention it.
Yeah, I'm not going to. But I'm not sure if there are any other legitimate ones, and hopefully, and I mean, this is something Dave Collins was saying last time. The hope is that all of those miners have already become profitable years ago. There have been no brand new ASIC miners for Decred now built for at least 2 years, to my knowledge. And it, to be fair, it never looked like they were going to build any more. So in terms of innovation for mining on Decred, it just wasn't coming. And that's yet another point that I like, the fact that we've gone to CPU mining and possibly GPU mining, which I still think is a little way off. This is everyday hardware now. We're not restricted by what some big company is going to build for us. We don't have to wait for Bitmain or someone like that to come out with a new ASIC so we can be competitive. In actual fact, it's actually great. The sustainability of our system has actually increased because you can do it on any computer. I mean, just as an instance, during those 2 days, although I could only run it for about 12 hours before it started overheating, but I was literally running it on a 2012 MacBook Air. A really old computer. It's only got one core. Two cores, dual core. But it was literally just running in the background, just doing its thing. Just bog standard hardware, which is absolutely amazing. Some of the other guys had some pretty incredible setups. Cozell was saying he was running his on a Raspberry Pi. So how great is that? So all bog standard hardware, which is absolutely amazing. No longer the need for these specialist hardware, which is kind of the way that it was in the beginning, I guess.
Yeah, we have another question from Nick. He asks, any news on mining pool support in the near future? Mining solo right now, but not sure if it's the most efficient for my personal setup. Odds of mining a block are not that high for me. So do we have any information on that? I don't think I've seen anything on that, but maybe it's just too early to say.
Dave did say that's their next mission. They are starting to work on the DCR pool. That is coming. I'm not sure how long it will take, to be fair. I think the consensus was that it probably should be here shortly, but I'm not sure. It just depends how long it goes, really. One of the big questions that has come up, though, is what will the low hash rate mean for the security of the Decred blockchain? And this has been a massive problem. In the mining channel, there was lots of people just speculating and sometimes being contentious about it. Basically you've just killed off all of your mining, and you've killed off all of your security. And it is worth mentioning, although we don't have the figures yet, that we are still pretty secure. Like I said, I don't have the full figures, just purely because of the proof of stake portion of the chain.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that in here are local crypto channels. I'm from Slovenia, so in the local Telegram channels, I never see Decred mentioned at all, and this was the first time I saw people talking about Decred in the local channel, except when I mentioned it. So it was interesting to see. So like even bad publicity is good publicity, but it was just basically misunderstanding. People thought, because they don't understand the hybrid system and how proof of stake provides most of our security, they assume the low hash rate sudden drop means like the security just plummeted. And it was a good occasion to explain to them that that's not the case with Decred, because we get most of our security from the proof of stake layer.
Yeah, I mean, could you imagine this happening on a proof of work chain? I mean, you come from the Monero community. Now they actually are ASIC resistant. Were they ASIC mineable beforehand?
So now we remember the recent news about coming from Bitmain, that they are producing. Kind of. It's not actually technical. It's not an ASIC, but it's not technically an ASIC. Yeah, but it's a computer that's much better at mining. It's an optimization. So it's a technicality to say it's not an ASIC, but it's an optimized system for mining Monero. And Dave was right a long time ago that said that ASIC resistance is basically pipe dream. I mean, it's never possible actually. You can just postpone an ASIC basically, but you cannot never make something absolutely ASIC. There will always be an optimization possible. Okay, Monero did a really good job at making this really hard to build this optimization because their system uses basically hardware it's present in every desktop PC, right? It uses RAM, it uses disk, so it's harder to build, but it's possible, and Bitmain now proved it's possible. So
they didn't start off as an ASIC mining chain. They've literally always been ASIC resistant, have they?
Right. I mean, during those times, also when Litecoin came out, when Decred came out, every altcoin that launched promised to be ASIC resistant or even GPU resistant. That was really fashionable back then, I remember. This was also the whole point of Litecoin, by the way. And of course, this point, it's been a very, very long time since Litecoin is no longer resistant to GPUs, let alone, ASICs, let alone, it's mineable in GPUs and ASICs. So yeah, by the way, I wouldn't say really I'm from the Monero community. I don't really know. I think the primary community I identify with is Decred. So, but yeah, through the years, I followed first Bitcoin, then Monero, then Decred, because that's the succession they came out in time.
It's just really sorry, I knew you weren't from the Monero community, but you kind of cross over with them quite a bit, and it was interesting to see from that perspective. My original point was, could you imagine something like Litecoin or Bitcoin having to go through this process? And eventually I kind of think that they will. And you imagine even a 50% drop, and when we had 100% drop and we took 3 days to recover, could you imagine what that would look like on something like those chains? You're talking years to actually mine it because it's so high.
Right. I mean, especially in Bitcoin, let's say if they need to change it someday because of, I don't know, I'm talking randomly here because I'm not technical enough, but let's say because of quantum computers or whatever. I mean, I think it would be a major challenge for Bitcoin. In my view, I mean, this will be controversial maybe, but I think Monero is more centralized than Bitcoin. I mean, in the sense that there is more trust in the core group of developers, and because of the regular hard forks they're having, right? They're having regular hard forks. So we can conclude there is trust in the core developer community of Monero, and it's worked well so far, but there is it is based on some kind of, it's not centralized in the sense of the network. It's very decentralized, of course, but the development, we have to say, it's somehow centralized. And there is an advantage in that, right? Like, you can have hard forks, you can implement changes. But for Bitcoin, that would be very extremely challenging. I can't imagine even.
I couldn't imagine. I was thinking about that as we was going through, as my emotions were running away with me. I did, and Dave was calming me down in the chat, going, "No, it's fine. This is meant to happen." But it did get me to thinking. Decred has handled this. They've put this consensus change together. I wouldn't even know what would happen to something like Bitcoin if, say, 50% of the miners just kind of disappeared. The difficulty rate come plummeting down, and all of a sudden those 50% turn up again, mined a load of blocks, and then run the whole system again. I just think this is a really interesting time that we've just gone through to actually bring that risk factor down, so that it can be mined from any hardware, and we get this honest behavior. I guess Bitcoin's mechanisms work in such a way that as profitability becomes less, they would also see the mining gradually reduce as well. So I guess it's fairly similar. But I was just kind of thinking off my hat there. That's pretty much all I wanted to add to kind of the consensus change and the kind of events we've been going through. Have you guys got anything that you want to add before we kind of move on to the next topic?
Um, I would just say I'm just interested to see how it all plays out. I think it's been a great change. Unfortunate for people who owned ASICs, of course, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. I'm very much happy this occurred during this cold, wintry bear market, uh,
Yeah.
crypto winter, as opposed to, bull market where it's like, oh my God, the chain stopped. So it kind of occurred at the perfect time, in my opinion. So yeah, just really excited to see where it goes from here, and maybe I'll start GPU mining if it is working out really well for people.
That's a really good point. Actually, I was gonna bring that up. I'm glad you reminded me of it. But could you imagine? And this makes me more positive about a multi-chain world. Could you imagine that Decred becomes the number one coin to be used, and all of a sudden there's these 2 day delays because of a consensus change, or even Bitcoin for that matter? And it does make you realize, in actual fact, because of the way the blockchains work, where they are just kind of systematic, they're not controlled by humans in that respect. You know,
Yeah.
um,
I think this was a unique circumstance where we're doing such a radical change, though. I don't think we're going to have a change like this again, or at least I hope not. If we have to make such a substantial change again, it might mean something isn't working right, you know?
yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think um, it is unlikely. But that being said, even if it happens like once every 3 or 4 years, if you ever got to the point of scale, it does make you think, right, well, if different blockchains update at different times, you can actually seamlessly merge between them. It does make me feel quite positive towards a multi-chain society, rather than a single chain society. It's kind of, as a hedge towards having to upgrade, having some downtime. It's no different than the internet. If a website goes down, YouTube goes down, we'll end up on Vimeo or whatever, until it comes back or whatever. Um, so yes, I was just thinking about that. There was another thing I was thinking, but I think I've completely forgot. How about you, Tiv? Any final thoughts on that?
No, no. Just when you said multi-chain, yeah, I think like I remember Murad in one of the interviews in the past said like he sees the future as between having 3 to 5 chains in the future. That's how many we need. Yeah, and I like intuitively I agree with that. I definitely don't think we need like thousands like we have now, but we will have them even though we don't need them, I'm sure. But yeah, going to the next topic. No, actually, we were going to talk later about the usage, right? Just to skip ahead a little bit, I just wanted to say that from the user's perspective, I hope in the future, or hope, I imagine in the future, perhaps people won't even know exactly what chain they're using. Maybe this will be all hidden from them someday in the future, and there will be another layer that they will interact with. And I mean, this kind of stuff we're talking about now, right? Like proof of work and difficulty and so on, will never be thought about by the average user in the future if this ever hopes to become used by people.
Yeah, I mean,
Speaking,
sorry,
sorry, go ahead. I was going to
just
segue that the average user talk about the proposals, mobile wallets, but I'll let you finish, Phoenix.
yeah, just one final thing. But as a merchant, I like the idea as one chain's down, and all of a sudden they're just accepting another coin without any hassle on that. And I think that is where we're getting to with that. Sorry, Exus, I completely interrupted. Go on.
Okay, so speaking of the average user, we currently have a few proposals up, and two of which are voting. One is for the Cake Wallet mobile integration, and another is for Crypto Power, which seeks to build a desktop and mobile wallet. Or it's already been built; it's already out actually, but they want to build on it, add in Decred Dex and a number of other features. And of course, Decred hasn't had a mobile wallet, or at least it's not its own mobile wallet for some time now, and a lot of people see that as detrimental to the average person. Now, in my personal life, I do actually know people who don't own laptops, and it's really interesting. They just do everything from their phone. And it's been argued for some time that these people aren't Decred's core audience. And I think there is truth to this, that these types of people might not be so into Decred, but at the same time, I think we can all agree having mobile wallets would be amazing, especially if they had some of those core features like staking, privacy, voting on things. So yeah, what do you guys think about the proposals?
I mean, the first thing I would say is, and just to be a bit controversial, take the other side a little bit. Why are they not? Why are they not our target audience? You know, if we want to be money, you know, we have to appeal to a general audience, and that's anyone that's saying, "Hey, we don't care about these people." I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what their agenda would be, because we absolutely care about getting this in the hands of as many people as possible. And I've said in past shows, I was a teacher for, I don't know, 17, 20 or 20 years, something like that. And as I progressed through, in the last 5 or 6 years, it did get to a point where we as a school, we got rid of all of our desktop computers. When I started, we had, well, we didn't have any actually, but halfway through, we had a maximum of about 5 labs. And then by the time I finished, we only had one lab left, one computer lab left. And every other room had computers, but they were Chromebooks. You know, or the kids brought in their own iPads, or they brought in their own Chromebooks, or they brought in, you know, in some classes they'd be allowed to use their iPhones. Not very often, but you know, that was how it was rolling. And very few of them, as parents were asking me, hey, what computer should I buy for my kid? And we saying, well, you know, we use the Chromebooks here, we use the Google Classroom suite. So for a school phrase, that's what we were recommending. And a lot of them were going down the iPad route and saying that they're absolutely fine as well. That the Google Suite works absolutely fine with them. So you had this demographic of kids that were coming through. A lot of them now are in their 20s, of course, because they've gone on to university. But that is the computers they were using. And it's important to note that when I finished, I was actually teaching computer science. So for the last 5 or 6 years, you know, that's what we were recommending to computer science kids. And I'd imagine a lot of schools are doing the same as well. So you are talking about that demographic where they're using cloud computers. They're using, excuse me, they're using programs like Replit to actually generate their code and things like that, and doing it all in the cloud. So this is happening, and we shouldn't shy away from the fact that this is actually happening. And if we have developers come along that say, hey, I can put together something that will work mobile, unless there's a really good reason, I don't see why we should discourage that. Do you guys have any other thoughts on that?
Well, I would say the reason Decred appeals to more technical people is it is very technical. Think about blockchain governance and voting. It maybe just doesn't appeal to maybe the average person. The average person likes the dog coin, they like the NFT, those kinds of things. But for sure, I mean, I think the problem with the proposals right now, the reason the crypto power proposal is failing, and for those who don't know, let me look this up really fast, what it's at. It has a few more days of voting, but it's at 55% yes. It needs 60 to pass. And some people are a little bit perplexed why it's not passing, because it got a lot of good comments. There weren't really any negative comments. There were mainly just questions on the main concern was basically, if this is approved and you guys do this work, what's going to happen in the future if this proposal fails for whatever reason, like with what happened with GoDCR, where the proposal failed, and even though they had released GoDCR, it immediately was just removed from our website, decred.org, and no one used it because it wasn't being updated. So I think that was the scare. And also we have the Cake Wallet. So Decred is going to be on Cake Wallet, which is a mobile wallet. And it's also we're also coming out with, I believe it's Bison Wallet, you know, the multi-coin from the Dex guys. I don't know if that's gonna be mobile, but we have a few different wallets coming out, and maybe there's just a little too much competition. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, I think so. I think what you mentioned about our past experience with the Radar's wallet and them not passing the proposal to upgrade it, and then we basically had this abandonware. I think this is probably the fear here, and I unfortunately didn't really delve deep into this proposal because I didn't have time, but that was my first reaction, and I'm so happy that they made the proposal. It's wonderful that we get this kind of without these proposals, where would we be? So it's amazing. But at the same time, I think this is the worry. First, like Exitus mentioned, there will be more than one mobile wallet coming, and we really need to make sure they will all be updated and they will all keep having development. And I think again, if I'm not mistaken, right, Cake Wallet's developers are all current Decred developers that already work on the project, and they're all already known to us, right? And if I'm not mistaken, the other team is new, right, to the Decred community.
No, they're not. No, Dragot's been around for a long time, actually.
Okay,
on
so I'm mistaken.
Cypherpunk Times, there's actually an interview with him.
Okay. So I'm sorry. So I apologize. I didn't connect him to the already, but also the team, or just him. Or also his
Dragot
team?
and It's Wisdom were both. Well, It's Wisdom has worked on.
Oh, Wisdom is with the Crypto Power.
Yeah, and he's also with possibly DCR Dex, I want to say, where he's done some bits there. But no, the team have been around. I think they were remnants of the Radar group, to be fair.
Oh, okay. I see. So okay. So understand. So these are the remnants of the Radar team on this Crypto Power. Okay. Yeah, apologize for not knowing enough.
Yeah. But they also chipped in on a bunch of other stuff as well. I mean, I can't off the top of my head remember, but they have been around.
So understand. So this I think this reinforces even more what I was saying before. Just my guess about why it's not doing as well as it could, probably because of the connection to the Radar one. People are mentally connecting. What if it gets discontinued again and so on? I don't know. I'm not the one to guess because I cannot comment on because, like you said, the comments were positive, so we don't know, right, what the voters who voted negatively are thinking. But in general, I think, first of all, I agree with you, Phoenix, absolutely, that we need a mobile wallet. And I think the future, whether we like it or not, is mobile. And payments are mobile. Payments will be mobile. And there is no other way. I mean, even changing, like, it's not just about generation. Even first, I always talked about different generations, right? Like my older generation being used more to laptops and computers, and the younger generations being more mobile. But now I see it's not even about that. It's just like based on lifestyle, right? Like you change your lifestyle a little bit. Like I used to be very, let's say, work from home based and so on. So I used my phone less, and for instance, now I just changed my lifestyle, and suddenly I'm more mobile all the time because I'm not home so much. So and even for myself, I would want to use mobile wallet. I wouldn't want to use anything else now if I could for payments, right? Just like I use them with my bank account. I used to use my bank account on my desktop, and now everything is on my phone. It's just impossible otherwise if you're not home all the time. So I think having a good mobile wallet is fundamental to Decred becoming more widespread. There is no other way around it. And again, unfortunately, I cannot really comment on that because you already saw that I don't know enough about the Crypto Power proposal. Unfortunately, I didn't have time to delve deep into it. But if you remember our talk with the Cake Wallet guys, I really liked the fact that they will add Decred specific features into it. I really like that. And another thing I want to say is that I don't imagine that in the future people will want to have 10 wallets each for every coin they're holding. So I mean, even I don't want to have, right? Like ideally I would have one wallet for everything. Like for instance, Exodus can do that, right? Exodus wallet can do that. But if you check Exodus wallet, its features for Decred are so limited to really the most basic stuff. And to make it practically not very useful to me in my specific case. So if I could have a wallet that has many different coins and it has features like, you know, coupons and being able to buy basically, to spend it, right? And to get virtual card, Visa card, and so on. and at the same time support many coins, and at the same time support Decred only features like mixing and so on. That would be my ideal, long term. So I don't know if Cake Wallet seems close to it, so that's why I'm kind of partial to it. But I have to admit my ignorance in not really delving deep into the differences between the proposals.
Isn't Bison Relay coming to mobile, and won't that act as kind of a mobile wallet in some fashion as well?
Yes. We talked about it like a decentralized WeChat, right? So that will be another mobile wallet, actually. Yes, exactly. And a Lightning Network-based mobile wallet, yeah. So we will have many mobile wallets. We will go from 0 to potentially 3 or 4.
Yeah, I use the Crypto Power wallet. I downloaded it. It's basically GoDCR rebranded, which is fine. It works very well. And yeah, it's a good wallet. They added the Litecoin and Bitcoin multi-wallet. It looks good. I wouldn't have any problem with it passing. But yeah, a bit confusing why it is failing. I guess the points we all laid out here are valid, and we're just trying to figure out why. But it is a little bit frustrating when maybe some big voters don't kind of write a comment being, "Hey, here's my concern," or this and that. We have another comment in the chat from Get Off Zero. He says, was just gonna ask about why Crypto Power doesn't really have negative comments. It looks so controversial based on the current 55/45 voting outcome. So yeah, I mean, people obviously don't have to comment. They can just choose to vote. That's their prerogative. But yeah, maybe they'll resubmit a proposal if this one fails and maybe cut it back a little bit.
I think if when we had that Cake Wallet interview, I was very critical of the Radar Group and the way that they left. There's no ifs or buts. I liked what the direction they were going in with GoDCR, and it really left a sour taste in my mouth. Not only did they take this new product that effectively we'd been paying for, but they also abandoned the old one, which kind of like just, if you're still using the old iOS Decred app, you should get off straight away because it's a bug fest. And that's what left an absolute horrible taste in my mouth. No ifs or buts. And I was quite open about that. As far as the Radar Group went and their development, they were top notch. There was no ifs or buts about that. The idea of having a Golang wallet that's completely built in Go, including the interface, is actually a lot bigger than most people realize. If you think about Decrediton, that's built in Electrum. Most of Decred's core software is actually built in Go. So you're having to connect these two elements together. And it's the same with Bison Relay. It's the same with Cake. Cake Wallet is built in C++, but the interface is with Flutter. Bison Relay built in Go, but it interfaces with Flutter as well. So in terms of Crypto Power, you're literally having something that's built in pure Go. So unlike a lot of these frameworks, which unfortunately, and there have been a few multi-platform frameworks that actually just disappear, if it's built in Go, hopefully it will be a lot more sustainable. And that's one of the reasons I really like.
C++ is also here to stay, I think. After
I don't mind.
50 years.
Yeah. I don't mind C++, but it is. Yeah. No, you're completely right. C++ is a great language. It's not one of my favorites. I must admit.
No. I didn't mean to say it's a great, but just that longevity, right? It proved that it's probably not going away.
Sorry, I wasn't on about C++. I was actually on about Flutter.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Dart, the language Dart, and I've been playing around with Dart for a few months now, and it's quite a fiddly little language actually. Whereas Go is a lovely language to get to grips with. Yeah, sorry, I didn't make that very clear. No, C++ is a great language, but it is quite tough to get your head around.
Yeah.
Whereas Go is completely modern, it's completely modular, and it's great. Yeah. I can't say enough good things about it. But in terms of benefits for the Crypto Go, that is one of the benefits that I foresee that they're building it in one language.
Yes, I agree.
And I generally, and if you talk to the other devs, generally there is no concerns about the level of ability in their programming skills. It doesn't even come down to that. So yeah, I think literally this contentious thing, it literally comes down to how the radar group left.
Yes.
One final note that I would like to make is that I would support this one, but I wouldn't support a follow-up. If it came to the point, oh, we want another year's worth of money to basically do the same thing, I wouldn't support it. I would support a maintenance pack. So if they said, look, £5,000 a year just to keep the platform running and to maintain it, absolutely. I wouldn't pay another 50 grand next year to have the same features. It's no different than the Crediton. The Crediton, that keeps getting updated, and as far as I'm aware, the maintenance package for that is very, very minimal, and that's what I'd expect for any wallet once it's been implemented. So although the 50,000 that they're after now for, I think it's 5 months worth of work, does seem steep, to my knowledge, that is to get it onto the platforms ready to go. So it all works and it gets updated and maintained. But yeah, that's my 5 cents anyway. But in terms of the sorry, keep going on. In terms of the cake wallet, yeah, I'm 100% in favor of that. I love the idea of the crypto, the what they called gift cards. I think that's an absolutely great idea, and the more ways we can use it, the better.
Yes, I agree, because that's where I'm at these days. I'm at because I shift through stages, let's say, in my life, my attitudes to crypto, and currently I'm in that stage where I'm asking, where are we after 10 years, or depends when we start measuring it, but like 1 decade or a little more than a decade after all the development and all that's happened, crypto is still not very in day-to-day life. It's not very relevant, right? Unfortunately. But when I say this, I also have to remember it's not the same in every country. Like, there are countries where crypto is very used, and it's a great protection against hyperinflation and so on and so on. But in Western countries, and let's say in the first world, if this term is still used, I'm not sure. But basically, it's not as used as I hoped it would be. If you asked me 10 years ago where we will be in 10 years, I would say, I would have said probably that most of the legacy system will be replaced with crypto. I was really optimistic like that. And in reality, it's still just, mostly it's a speculative asset. And mostly people just bet on its future value. And that's basically still mostly it. So it was really amazing to have to talk with Joel, right, recently, someone who is really living on crypto, which is, I think, the original intention of it all, because it was meant to be cryptocurrency. So that's what I want to see more of. But right now, I have to admit that I'm slightly less optimistic than I used to be. But I was wrong so many times before, so I'm sure I will be wrong again, and we will come into an age of actual crypto use. One thing that let's say, disappointed me a bit was, Lightning Network. Like, I expected it would grow and be much more. The UX would be much better than it actually is. There are many challenges ahead of us. For instance, like how to make the UX of Lightning Network. Like, for instance, Bison Relay is amazing in this. I think it's really a step forward, because it's, for being a Lightning Network product, it's very easy to use relatively to some other experiences I have with Lightning Network. But yeah, what do you guys think about that? I mean, I'm really want to see more real life use of crypto in the future. No, and I don't mean like Binance Visa card, because that's not really it. Even though I do use such products because of how convenient they are, but that's not really using crypto.
I was just going to say, speaking of Bison Relay, shout out to Bison Relay version 1.8. For those of you who haven't downloaded it, it actually has chat history now, so it saves about, I believe, 500 messages, which really makes the experience so much better. I mean, I don't know if you guys have used it yet, but it's like, finally the chats are saved and you can go back and look. There's a few other things, and one of the big things was on CLI command line. They added simple stores and pages, so that's kind of making its way. The simple stores only support digital goods. Uh, I just wanted to pitch that on Bison Relay. I don't know if we were going to talk about it, but as far as crypto in the future, like Tiver was talking about, I mean, yeah, I think people are going to maybe use it more and more. Maybe it's going to just be a hobbyist type of thing or a thing for people, who are idealists or whatever. But I don't know. I think it's gonna become more and more popular, especially with if inflation continues. People are gonna look to it for sure.
Yeah, shout out to Bison Relay 1.8. It's very good. The storefronts don't quite work for me yet, but I think they're going to iterate over that, and neither do the pages, but they are both there now. So as they iterate into the next few versions,
Are you on
hopefully
command line?
No, I'm not brave enough for that.
Okay, yeah, I
Are you?
think it's command line only, so that's why. So
Yeah.
no, I don't use command line, but from the notes, I believe it's command line only because I didn't see the stores on the GUI. I only saw there's a page tab, but you can't actually do anything.
Yeah. My understanding was they were going to be sort of bundled in together, but it's just the fact that these things are happening is amazing. No, I haven't been brave enough to use the command line yet, but I'm speaking a lot with Crumbles, so he's pushing me in that direction. He keeps getting me to use command line stuff, and I was like, all right, I'll give it a go. And generally, this stuff does work very, very well. In terms of where we're headed for crypto, it is a long journey, and I kind of agree with Tiveret that we live in this speculative kind of era where everyone is more interested in how much their assets going to be worth than its usefulness. And I guess for Decred, we can get involved in that because we can obviously save it. So one thing that a lot of cryptos like Bitcoin you can't do, although you can hold it and the value of it can go up. Whereas with Decred, you can literally sit on it, but you can also stake it, which gives you that earning and interest, which is a nice thing. It's the next step is getting accepted, isn't it? I think most of us would be happy to spend it now, and using these gift cards is one way of doing that. But it's getting to that next step where merchants want to accept it. Hopefully, storefront to do that. I can see a lot of potential for storefronts. Out of interest, I was going to say one because you were saying about your Coinbase. You're able to use your Coinbase card now and spend Decred that way, not Decred, crypto that way. Do you do that just with USDC?
Yeah, I just use USDC because it's the easiest because the exchange rate doesn't change. So yeah.
With Binance, you can use also Decred. Binance card.
That's cool. See, that's one way in which I think that this whole ecosystem could evolve into the accept it is literally, I mean, and many people have echoed this already, but you literally use USDC on your custodial wallet rather than using it from Coinbase. Use it from your custodial wallet, and that way merchants will start kind of using it that way. But you're still doing those stepping stones. It's no different than the gift cards, really. It's still a couple of stepping stones to actually get to spend it or to get a merchant to accept it. Out of interest, have you guys ever actually physically used crypto across the counter or for any other reason?
Nope.
I mean, what do you mean by physically, for instance?
Yeah, no, just you've got your wallet and you've bought some coffee or you've bought.
Oh, I see. Mostly, I would consider physical use using crypto ATMs. I think that qualifies. So basically, going with my mobile wallet and sending crypto to the machine spitting out fiat. I use that a lot. As for paying directly with crypto, I'm not sure I have done because there are many possibilities of doing that here. No, so crypto ATMs mostly. Yeah.
I used Litecoin to buy this T-shirt a few years ago.
Oh yeah, online I used the the one purchase I made from Norway, I think, or Sweden, and we Decred even, was some beef jerky, but from not beef, but deer and reindeer and so on, like this wild animal jerky. They used to accept all crypto, including Decred. I did that in 2018, I think.
I missed an opportunity actually a few years ago. I was buying some steel plates for my passwords, and I bought it off a guy in Canada, and he actually had an option for buying in Decred, but I just ended up paying in PayPal, which, yeah, thinking back now, it's such a missed opportunity. But yeah, never mind. I forgot what I was going to say. What do you guys think will be the catalyst for this, if any? Do you think we're just sitting around waiting for other people to kind of invent stuff now, or is there something that the individual can do to actually kind of foster this idea of accept and spend?
Well, I think it always comes back to number go up, and it goes back to market cycles. We're in a bear market and things slow down, and this is how it's always been. Anyone who's been in a bear market, whether it was the last one or the one in like 2014, 2015, it's always the same. Things slow down. It feels like things are dying. Volume goes down. And in the bull markets, the prices go crazy. People get excited. Maybe we need a few more bull cycles before this is really accepted. This is all still really early, and I wouldn't try to beat yourself over what's the solution? What do we have to do? We really just have to wait. And in terms of Decred just gets better. They're always making it better every single year, whether it be through consensus updates or development updates or new innovative ideas like Bison Relay or post-quantum privacy or building an atomic swap-based DEX. It always gets better. And at some point, more and more people are going to catch on to this.
Yeah, 100%. I think yeah, like I say, it is a little too easy to be down on it, but I'm a general optimist, so I'm always kind of happy that I'm being involved in this. And one thing that kind of strikes me as already participating and using crypto for what it is what we're doing right here. The fact that we can come on, we can create content, and we can earn in Decred. And I love that the fact that the Treasury kind of facilitates that. You can actually join a team, a fantastic team, and you can actually earn Decred that way. Just as we kind of finish up and roll out of this, we do have a few initiatives going on in terms of this participation side of things. If you guys do want to see how it is to earn Decred, but you don't want to go through the whole proposal side of things, if you're a creator, if you're someone that's a productive person, you can kind of start by doing. So I forget what your slogan is, Exitus. Show by doing, is that right?
Demonstrate by doing.
That's it.
Well, that's not mine. I think that's Decred's slogan, not mine. But yeah.
So demonstrate by doing, and once you've done a few things, actually come into our channels, post what you've done, show us what you've been up to. And there are a few initiatives. So Exitus and Tivra, they run the Vanguard group, where if you are a productive person and you enjoy social media and you enjoy creating content, you can apply for, I think it's £100 stipend a month to actually just produce content for Decred and the space, and kind of promote all things that are good.
Just participate, to brainstorm, to do whatever you want to do. You can join us and get paid a bit in Decred. Right now has been a little bit slow, just as the market's been slow. This recent change has been exciting. We really slowed down because we knew this change might cause some controversy. The chain stopped for a few days, but we're looking to definitely pick things up again, especially as the market picks up. We want to be really active. But anyone out there who wants to just participate in our chats for a bit, you can get a $100 stipend in Decred a month, and we'll pay for your Twitter Blue, because we want to be really active on Twitter, or I guess we can call it X. Now it's called X. Well, I was going to say one more thing, but I forgot.
We'll come back to you, but the Vanguard group is absolutely amazing. So if you do get a chance, or you should, if you are a productive person and you're already on social media and you're creating lots of good content, you've got lots of good followers, show Exitus, show Tivra what you can do, and get paid for your efforts, and see how the system works, see how you get paid. Have you thought of it yet, Exitus?
Yeah. There was just discussion on like just right now for Vanguard, we have our own private Discord server. Basically, there was discussion about just having that server just be Decred's Discord server for anyone to join, which I think makes a lot of sense. Maybe there's certain strategies we want to keep private, which we could, but it would probably be more beneficial just to have that be a public room. It's a very optimistic place. So that was the only thing we're probably going to do that at some point.
Yeah, that's a great idea. So another way you can participate is we also have a video proposal that runs from January to January. So it's active now, and it's actually, you can join it through Exitus. And once again, show by doing. So create a video, some video content, show what you can do, and then there's an opportunity there if you're a video creator to join that proposal as well, which is absolutely amazing. Get paid for regular content, which is basically what we're doing here. And if you look at the Decred channel. And then the final one where you can participate without putting up a proposal, you can just join the community in terms of marketing, that is the Cypherpunk Times, which we are looking for regular or infrequent writers. Once again, show by doing. If you're interested, you can get in contact with me and we'll see how that goes. But there is lots and lots of opportunities. So already Decred is fostering this idea of work, which I love. And I'm not sure that any other community at this point is as accessible. That other communities do it, but Decred is pretty accessible. If you're a content creator, you can get involved, which is absolutely amazing. Obviously, if you are a developer, there's a bug bounty, so you can actually look at the code, you can report bugs, and you can get paid for that kind of work. You can also step in to development roles as well and talk to them and show by doing there as well. So loads and loads of opportunities, and we're always looking for community members to get involved. Guys, I think that is pretty much it from me. Absolutely amazing show. Loads of great debate here. If you guys are in the channel and you don't, if you disagree with anything that's said here, obviously you can send us a message, comment. Let's hear your views. It's always good. We don't expect you to agree with us. That's the whole idea of these debates, to see what people think and to kind of go through the process, which I absolutely love. And this discussion's been absolutely amazing. Exitus, final note.
Sure. Just great to be here. Great to see the changes go through. And we've started a new chapter in Decred's history, CPU mining. I had my first ticket vote with the new block reward. I think it's like 1.53 Decred. Really nice. And yeah, just excited for what the developers are going to come up with next, and excited to be here. We had one more question in the chat. I'll answer it. Luke Jones asked, why did the change stop the technicals? I don't know if I can tell you the technicals, but what I can say is the hashing algorithm was changed. So all the ASICs were bricked. And basically the chain stopped as it was trying to find that new difficulty. And so people ran a bunch of miners, CPU miners, to try to get that, and it took a few days.
Yeah, it's important to note that in actual fact, that is, although the difficulty was too high, it actually hadn't stopped. There had been no kind of cancellation of software or anything like that. There had been no patches to the code. The consensus went through, and it just took a little bit of time to go from ASIC miners, which was, as we said in the beginning, it was 40 million gigahashes down to 15 gigahashes. So, that massive jump, it had to find the difficulty in there somewhere. Because it was all CPU and there was no GPU initially, and there still isn't to my knowledge, that's why it did take a little bit of time to get over that hurdle. We kind of forced through a bit of cloud computing as well, which kind of helped us get over it a bit faster. But yeah, that's quite important to note that it didn't stop. It just literally took that long to find that first block after the consensus change. Once that went into effect, the difficulty algorithm kicked in. Now every single block, the difficulty algorithm changes. So it's not like we're going to have that every other week or whatever. It's going to go back to 2 days. It literally changes with every block to compensate. It's a really clever algorithm. If you want to hear more about that, last month's show with Dave Collins, he goes into a massive amount of depth with it. We got another one.
Oh, he just says, here to learn. I'm hearing similar goals and challenges across multiple chains. Awesome show, guys. Thank you very much, Jose. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, fantastic. Tivra, final note from you.
Oh, I'm just with this new chapter. I hope we'll put behind this, focus on the which unfortunately we had to think about the mining cartel and the dumping and so on. And I hope a new chapter begins where we will talk more about demand, and actual usage. And this is what I'm looking forward to. A completely different focus, and hopefully more, let's say, an increase in usage of tools like Bison Relay and our coming mobile wallet. And this is what I really look forward to.
Yeah, I'd like to do maybe next month's discussion on just this idea of, how do we break out of this bubble? How do we start using it? How do we start accepting it? And actually put some of this stuff into action. Now is the best time to experiment with all this stuff and actually see what's going on. And I, for one, would love to be able to go to a shop or go to an online store and say, look, here's some Digibyte, or here's some Decred, or here's some Dash, or whatever, and actually just use it. And at this point, I'm not too worried of what the coin is. I do believe that we are headed towards some kind of multi-chain world, and personally, I want something. I want different coins for different things, and the next step for me is to see if we can actually use this for money's sake. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. Always good. Everyone in the audience, we've had a great show here. I think at one point we had like 12 people, which is amazing for us. I think that's great. And we will see you guys next time.